Yeah,
Recording live from my head-hitting stronghold in Annapolis, Maryland, and beyond. This is the Recruiter Roundtable Season 3. Every episode is an open discussion for recruiters, headhunters, and talent pros. So feel free to participate or just sit back and listen as we bring you topics, discussing tips, tricks, and more from both industry dinosaurs like Alan Fleur and noobs alike. Please like and subscribe. And now let's start with the Recruiter Roundtable Season 3, turning pain points into profit. Hey, everybody. And now I'm gonna probably every single episode flame somebody. So I'll get Steve next. I've already gotten Ernie. I'll get some other guys with the dinosaurs. Kelly's never a dinosaur unless there was a baby dinosaur.
She's a baby dinosaur.
Tommy, Kelly lives around me here. I don't think you should be mean to her, or
right.
Ernie
no one can be
and
mean to me. I'm the queen. I'm the roundtable queen.
He's the queen. So one of the things Kelly and I were talking about, and Ernie and I were talking earlier today, is just, we were trained, most of us, to go out there and market with an MPC, right? Yeah. Or assumptive opening. Steve Finkel talks about it in his book, Unlimited Clients. It's something that I've done for many years. And those are basically the two ways that I've always developed business, right? Other than calling job orders and repeat business. But in terms of new clients, it was an MPC and it was an assumptive opening, right? That's like just industry standard is the MPC. And we started thinking about like other companies, other industries, they sell on pain points, right? They don't necessarily have some like here, buy this, right? Other consulting firms don't have MPCs, so to speak. So we started thinking about like putting together ways to create pain points and then taking those pain points and kind of applying them to your sales cycle. So I've been kind of doing this like on my own right now, going in with a simple script that tells a story and says, hi, my name's Tom Lashley. I'm wonderful and great. And I want to be a recruiter for you. And this is the success we had with other companies, right? Kind of understanding what keeps them up at night, understanding what issues they're having, right? And then, telling a story that gets them to talk to you. It's not as, at least for me so far, it's not as effective as the MPC, but it's more of a consultative selling. However, if you are going to do it, what we did determine was you really need to know what their pain points are and what keeps them up at night, right? So you can do that with discovery questions, and you can do that with ChatGPT or Claude. You can do that in a lot of different ways. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to talk to them intelligently about their industry and know what their problems are. And if you're out there doing searches, what in your industry, like for my industry, for example, there is a lack of geotechnical engineers. There just are. And the reasons there are not enough bodies to fill the positions. The schools didn't push geotechnical as much as they push civil structural, and you can incorporate that into your story. So what I thought we would talk a little bit about today was what your ideal customer persona is, your ICP, we call it, right? And then what those pain points are, and then how we can use those pain points to create some type of script or pitch or selling process. Before some of you got here, we were talking about spin selling, gap selling, and challenger sales selling, right? So those are three different selling systems, right? Sandler's another one that you could use these pain points to kind of help you develop a script to market to like your 50 phone calls. And instead of marketing MPC, or instead of, hey, I heard you had an opening, it is a consultative approach that you come off as an expert in your industry, very knowledgeable of what's going on, and can talk to them intelligently where they look at you and say, wow, this guy knows what the hell's going on. She can help us fill these positions, and she actually understands our critical needs. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Does anybody have any questions to that or anything? Because what I did, go ahead, Kelly.
I think I've said this before, but I did a little training with a well-known trainer in the recruiting industry. And he and his team went out and just called hiring managers in different niches. And what they found was that a lot of hiring managers are really annoyed or have a hard time with people who don't have any grit. That, you can't give criticism to somebody without them needing therapy. And so there's also some of those things that don't really have to do with technical skills. They have to do with more cultural issues and things like that, that, you know, people need to like be coddled and, you know, stuff like that. So there's those things that you can also find out.
I think one of the things Kelly was she was talking about is in one of her pitches or one of her emails, she said this is a candidate that doesn't need therapy just to
Came
pick
up
up
with
the phone, right? Or just
Right.
So
And
that's
it adds a little
another
bit of
thing to
humor.
use. That's a pain point.
It
Yeah.
adds a little bit of humor, which I think is, you know, people like to be entertained and have a little fun. And if they know that you don't take yourself too seriously and you send an engaging email instead of sending or talking about, you know, I'm great. I made all these placements. I'm part of the Pinnacle Society. I got an email like that, several, because I work on the other side of the desk also, and got this series of messages from this gal in the Pinnacle Society, a life sciences recruiter. You know, I'm like, who the fuck cares? The only reason I know you're in the Pinnacle Society is because I'm a recruiter. Most people do not, and they're not going to take any time to find out. How are you going to solve my problem?
Yeah, that's a great point that Kelly brings up. When you sell yourself, if they don't know what they're talking about, if they don't know that Pinnacle Society is, they don't know what CSAM, which was a management recruiter's certification, is, it doesn't mean dick to them. And you can jump up and down all about it, but they want to know how you can solve their problems. Go ahead, Alan, and then Tim next.
Part of the Junior Pinnacle Society.
For Kelly to maybe chime in on it. How much of this of what we're talking about, Kelly, is bad example makes the point is when you go, I always remember talking to a candidate, I was having him sign his letter at a restaurant. And this gentleman was taller than me, very barrel chested, I mean, somewhat unattractive. And yet he had, I mean, but as I'm walking in, he's talking to three, you know, he's conversations going. I said, you know, I'm just kind of curious. I'm always curious. He goes, oh, I don't pull all the BS lines on him. I just, hi, who are you? You know, what do you do? And I'm wondering, and when we were teaching people to sell, how much of it is spin selling or whatever? And then the others is just, why don't you just walk up to them and say, you know, let me do a recruiter thing. Kelly, hi, you're the vice president over here. The reason for my call is I know Ernie Marino. He referred me to you. We specialize in the construction area that you are the VP in, and I'd like to talk to you about a potential candidate, or do we have common ground to work together?
Yeah, you know, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know either.
There's a little system called the PAS framework, Pain Agitation Solution. And that has worked really well for me. Going to hiring managers and saying, listen, I know from talking to other people in your industry that job postings are not working. That's their pain. So that means that if you're not getting candidates, that means that I know I'm preaching to the choir, you're not getting work done. You're not finding good talent. And so what I've done is I created blah, blah, blah. That's helping. Let's chat.
Yeah, and you could tell a story. A very similar company like yours, we did X, Y, and Z, and we're able to fill the positions in 8 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, and I agree with that. You need to connect with them somehow and really understand what is their pain. Is it, if it's software, oh my God, we're behind, we're not going to, you know, and it all depends, you know, with you, nobody here is going to remember this, but one holiday, Canon out of nowhere gave a 100% 1 or 2 year absolute warranty. If it doesn't work, bring it back. Don't buy new anything. Just bring the whole thing back. And the reason they did it, they were short people. They couldn't do the testing and fix the problems, but they still had to meet the Christmas deadline.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Let's see, Tim, then Ernie, and then Kelly again. Yes. So
Yeah,
Tim,
Kelly.
Ernie, Kelly.
Okay.
Yeah, so my experience is like a lot of times is that sometimes you go down that rabbit hole of going too much information. You know, less is more in a lot of different ways. And I think that sometimes when you talk to a VP, you're automatically thinking you need to throw, hey, we've been a member of the Pinnacle Club, you know, trying to justify who you are instead of focusing on them. I think that's the hard part about it, is a lot of what I'm finding out when I was VP of operations, people were trying to get, recruiters were calling me. It was all about what we did and all this kind of stuff instead of what's my pains. How long have you had that job order? Like what Tom talks about, like how long has that job been out there? I just was cruising through, hey, I live in the Quad Cities and it's been out there at least a month that I've seen, what's going on with that? And just being general, like just being genuine. And I think that's where they miss the mark, a lot of these recruiting agencies, because when they do NPCs, it's all about what I've done, what our company provides, what's the specifications, all this kind of stuff, instead of saying, hey, Tom, I just saw this job opening. I'm in the Quad Cities, I started my agency, this, whatever. But at the end of the day, what's going on in your world? What can, what pains have you seen out there in the job? And just start randomly talking about whatever's about them, focusing on them. Everything should be them. And not only that, it's the type of questioning like Tom always talks about. You got to have good questions that are deep questions. It's really peeling that onion more to the center, not the outside, but get down deep. Ask the hard questions. What's this role costing you being out 3 or 4 months or 6 months out there? Anyway,
not to get dirty, but that's why when his client won't spend time with you on the phone, move on. Go ahead, Ernie. Go ahead, Kelly.
No, I yesterday I spent about an hour talking to a fellow that is basically a plant manager to a company, and he making 300,000 base.
Wow.
And you're going, like we got to that point, but as we talked, I asked him, and the way it started was like, I just have one question for you. What's the hardest position to fill? I'm kind of doing a survey throughout, and they
Great question in the world.
And they say, he said, an off-shift supervisor. And I go, okay, my second question is this, and I won't take much of your time. Mind you, this was an hour present we had taking up his time. I said, my second question is this. If of your supervisors, how many of them have degrees? And he goes, I got 5 supervisors and none of them have degrees. They're all good. I said, so you have no mini-me ready to take over? And he goes, no, not really. I don't. I said, but it's kind of interesting. I said, and if you brought in somebody that had a degree, would the others feel threatened? And he said, yeah, I think they would. And then you just sort of go with that, and then you ask, why would they feel threatened? And you just sort of talk like, you just sort of have that conversation. I go, well, that's interesting. And then you just sort of, just kind of like you're taking it in, and that's really what you're doing. But then you can go to your next call and say, I just had this call, and this is a question I asked, and do you have that same experience? And it leads to a lot of them just talking to you like no one's talked to them before. I'll end it there.
Kelly, and then Sarah, and then we'll get to the personas and talk a little more about pain. Kelly, you're on mute. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kelly's playing with the dog. Go ahead, Sarah.
I just wanted to introduce Corbin to the group. I know I haven't been on in a few weeks, but Corbin, I just added him to my team, and he's helping me with sales and sales recruiting. So I just wanted to introduce him.
Is he any good?
He's
welcome
good.
Anybody who I haven't welcomed to
I mean, he's awful. Don't steal him. I'm just kidding.
He's so bad. She only allowed him to put his first name up.
Yeah, he's so bad. He can't come on camera. Only his first name. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I mean, I think you guys, I shared that I was in a rut and I couldn't move fast enough because I'm just doing the consultancy by myself in the utility space, focusing on the lineman hiring for co-ops and municipalities. So since Corbin's come on, 6 deals are now on the table. So
congratulations. That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, not signed yet. So it's not real till they sign, but it's definitely more traction than I had before. So
absolutely.
And he just goes by Corbin, like Prince or something.
I'll let him pick his title.
Talk.
So, does everyone here know what an ICP is? Ideal client persona or ideal client customer persona? Does everybody know what that is? Do you know how to create one? If you don't, hit me up after the meeting and I'll help you. But I did this today. I kind of thought about some of that's Insane Con Posse 2. Violent J is awesome. I created these because we have people who do heavy manufacturing. I created one for critical care nursing and one for SaaS sales, right? So in this persona, we have Marcus Rodriguez. He's a plant manager. He's got 15 years experience. He has 400 employees. It gives pain points and challenges, fears that keep him up at night, his needs, wants, and desires, right? Reliable pipeline of qualified candidates, faster time to hire, for example, his buying decisions, his ideal future state, right? So these are, you can do this for any industry, for any position, it doesn't matter. For critical care nursing, right? We got Maria Rodriguez, they must be related. Director of Emergency and Critical Care Services, 18 years experience in ER trauma, NICU, ICU, PACU, all of it, right? And then again, pain points, critical shortage of nurses in her specialty, expensive agency travel, nurse dependencies, specialized skill requirements, high stress environment, what keeps her up at night, needs, wants, and desires, again, buying decision process. You'll see it, all of these, it's the same thing, right? Again, Marcus Rodriguez is not only a plant manager, he's also a sales manager for an early stage manufacturing startup. And again, pain points, but it all comes down to each industry is different. And as Kelly said, sometimes these are uncovered in other ways by asking good questions. Like Ernie asked, what's the hardest position for you to fill? That is a pain point that's a little more difficult to find out just by Googling and doing research. And that's a good thing to ask whenever you're on the phone. If you're marketing an MPC, if you are doing an assumptive opening, if you're talking to a candidate, for Christ's sake, ask the question, what is the hardest position for your company to fill? And you'll start learning in your niche that, hey, it's really difficult for us to fill electrical project managers with high voltage experience or whatever it may be. And that could be something that you could focus more on in your storytelling, right? So the first thing you need to do, though, when you're talking about putting together pain points for you to help you sell and connect with your clients, and I don't care if you're doing an MPC or a assumptive opening or this new selling, selling without a candidate, knowing these things about your client is going to make you more consultative than transactional. And I think that's what we're all hoping to be that consultant and not that resume pushing transactional recruiter. Everyone agree with that? Anyone disagree?
True, because they're going to ask you what's happening in the industry.
Yeah, what have you heard, right? Do you know what's going on? So once I do that, right, then I put together problem matrices for these three people, right? So we got the sales manager, we got our critical nursing, and we have our heavy manufacturing, right? So for the heavy manufacturing guys, it takes a little bit of those pain points that we're talking about and puts them more in a more quantifiable way to look at it, right? What the problems are, what the impacts are to the organization, and what the root causes are. And again, you're asking, well, Tom, why is this important? Well, again, we're talking about how we're going to relate to the clients when we're talking to them, right? And I said I had a simple, where is it? Simple script, right? Hook, story, how, call to action. General outcome value, we helped manufacturing companies fill critical positions in half the time. Similarly, we helped Caterpillar fill 3 electrical positions. And by doing this, we were able to do X, Y, and Z. Now, I can't promise we can do the same for you, but if we could help you do that, would it be interesting? Like, that's the simplest way to use your problem matrix.
But
right?
you're still starting, Tommy. You're still starting out with us. I think, that you have very little time to get somebody's attention. They're wanting to get you off the phone if you're a recruiter. So you got to start with, something better than that. Like, we did this and we did that.
So how do we apply that to them, right? So we say,
like I just said, the pain agitation solution.
Yeah, so their pain. It's my understanding that
other companies are saying that running ads
they can't find welders, machinists, and maintenance techs, which is slowing down their production, making them miss deadlines and having a serious risk of failure. And we understand that the root causes are X, Y, and Z, and we're able to fill this because. Is that kind of how you would do that?
Yeah, let's talk about how. So I work different than anybody else does. I don't work on commission. So my sale is a little bit different, or my value.
How would you apply this one? Critical shortage of specialized nurses in ER, NICU, and ICU departments, with positions being vacant for 3 to 6 months. Like, that's a major problem in nursing, right? So
Well,
when you
give them an
get that
offer.
director of
Give them
nursing
an
on the
offer.
phone,
So give him an offer. Do an Alex Hormozy offer. If you've ever heard of Alex Hormozy, you need to know who he is. And you give them an offer. Here's what we'll do.
no, but how do you said I'm too much about we can do this, we can do that. So if you're calling the director of nursing for critical care services and her problem is critical shortage of specialist nurses in ER, NICU, and ICU, do you start with, hi, Kelly, it's
I'm
talking to
trying
other
to tell
nurses.
you, Tommy.
I don't know. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to tell you. So you start out with their pain. Everybody has a shortage of nurses. We know what this means for you. Patients are not getting taken care of. I'm coming in with an offer for an Alex Hormozy offer. You can put it in ChatGPT and ask, create an Alex Hormozy offer for me. We can talk about that in a minute. Here's my offer and I'm just starting for $20,000, for a flat fee of $20,000, we will find exactly 3 NICU nurses in your area, in your price range, for blah, blah, blah. That's how we solve your problem in 30 days.
You get off like on a really good job here.
Hello?
Oh, Alex Hormozy, yeah.
Yeah, so you
yeah,
create an
I
offer to
heard
get their
that.
attention. I'm just throwing this out there. I mean, you don't have to, but
No.
create an Alex Hormozy offer that other people aren't. What they're hearing is everybody wants 25% fee. They don't differentiate themselves. Differentiate yourself. Speak to their pain. Give them an offer they can't refuse, and then to get them started, and then
Here's a Hormozy. I threw in, I said, take that critical shortage of nurses, patients risks, limited pool of candidates, and said, create an Alex Hormozy style offer from it. And we got offer stack.
Yeah.
Place 3 critical nurses in 90 days. Work with us free until you do. Plus, if our nurses don't reduce your patient safety by 40% in 6 months, we'll refund your entire investment.
There you go.
The one that I heard, the way I heard this is on Benjamin's thing, on Mina's thing, and he was talking about a guy that did this, but the twist I thought was interesting is he went down his list of known connections. So every call was a warm call to some degree, or at least he was known. So I think that's an interesting book, and I think it's Kelly, that's a great offer.
Yeah, it is. That's a great. I mean, you want to friggin' differentiate yourself. That would differentiate yourself.
Right. I know, again, from being on the other side of the desk as Alan has been, that you get just people that are just like, we filled this and we filled that and we can do that for you too. And let's hop on a call.
I mean, the funny thing is,
How do you spell this guy's last name?
HORMOZI.
HORMIZA.
I'll put it in the chat.
HORMOZI.
the other one you can do is I forget who the guy was that named it, but he called it the Harvard Association. And it's basically, if you're associating with yourself with Harvard to some degree, in some way, shape, or form, and I slipped on it in a good way one day when somebody said, well, why should we talk to you? And I just said, I was thinking, all recruiters say this. I said, well, because the partner at KPMG really appreciates the relationship we had. And he said, we've saved him money because they've in uptime. And we've brought people to the table that have helped them solve that. So I'm really proud, humbly, of what a partner at KPMG said about our services. So that's linking you with KPMG and upping your street cred to get, so this person will at least maybe listen a little more.
Remember that you have very little time.
Yeah.
I just got a new client the other day. I was telling Tom about it, that, you know, I called him and he's like, what do you want? And I said, so I started in on my thing and I got him to talk. And he basically said, I've had a really bad experience with recruiters. Tell me why you're different. You know, I could tell that he was just this much away from hanging it up on me. But I got him to talk for about half an hour, and then I got his business. So you gotta, you know, you just have to keep them engaged the whole time.
You also need to ask a lot of questions where instead of telling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, my favorite one is, you know, Tommy, we're talking about this position before we get started. What do you know about this company that we're talking about? What questions can I answer for you? We'll get to me. We'll get to my greedy, selfish self. But what questions can I answer for you? Free reign.
Yeah, I mean so a lot of all these different ones that I put up here, like this one, you know, right out the back, you know, I work with directors of critical care across for 8 years, and I've seen a pattern that's very concerning, you know, making this staffing crisis work. So you're kind of, they call it the warmer, right? You're warming up to them, making understanding their pain, and then going into reframing it, challenge their wisdom, and giving them a story that resonates. Again, all of it, I guess what it really comes down to, and Huff, I think, joined, is can you communicate with them in their style, and which style is going to resonate with them, right? A lot of times you could get on the phone and somebody like me isn't going to want to deal with this challenger sales because it fucking takes forever. Just get to the point, right? So some people want you to the point, like Kelly was saying, like, hey, I get it. It's very difficult for you to fill critical care nurses and ICUs. How about this? I guarantee you 3 placements that are going to reduce your, what did he say? Going to reduce your safety indices 40% within 6 months, or we'll give you your money back, right? That's what somebody like me would want to hear. Like, to get to the fucking point, what am I going to do? Where maybe you're dealing with an engineering manager has, you know, on the softer side, he may warm up to this challenger sales stuff, right? Because he wants to know what the process is. He wants to know how much you know about his industry. So I think a lot of all of this stuff is good. Just how do you apply it? What does that stand for, Huff? Get the fuck to the point?
Get to the fucking point.
Get to the fucking point. Okay. I have dyslexia. So, that's it, right? That's what it comes down to. And all this stuff that I'm showing you guys, right? There is so many different ways to skin the cat when it comes to selling to a potential client. But what I wanted to kind of press when we're talking about this today is doing it without an NPC and doing it without a assumptive opening. Just going in cold and being that consultative, I know your industry, let me help you fix your pain. Find their pain, as Kelly said, agitate it, stick a knife in their side, turn it, then hand them a Band-Aid and say, here you go, I'm fixing it, right? Like, that's at the end of the day, that's what Huff said. Get to the fucking point. Like, you got pain, I'm a doctor, I'm here to solve it for you. Does that resonate with everyone? I mean, does everybody know what I'm trying to kind of, you know, push on you guys with this? Is that we can take this and use this to help us do business development, you know, and go out there, and you don't have to make 50 calls a day. I mean, it'd be great if you did, but do this for 5 calls. Do this for 3 calls a day. Do this for 1 call a week to get yourself started, but do something different that other recruiters aren't doing, right? Go ahead, Kelly.
So this is a good way to scale, though. I mean, if you're looking to scale and you want to do business development through various channels such as cold emails, LinkedIn, in-mails, whatever it is that you do, plus cold calling, I think it's, you know, you got to do everything because people don't respond to everything. This is a good way to be able to do that instead of having just a most placeable candidate when you don't know exactly what they're looking for, you can use something like this to get around having a candidate and still get interest in your service.
Yeah, 100%. Somebody else that raised their hand? Whoever you are. Sabrina, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I think something that's really important too, and it's kind of difficult to do, so I'm trying to figure that out, is how to still give them room. So say this is like the general thing that you see in the industry, but maybe they're not really experiencing it. They're experiencing a different pain. So still giving them that room to express themselves, to engage with them, to kind of get them invested in you and in the relationship, but being able to do that on a mass scale. I can only really do it when I do the actual calls or I'm meeting with them in person.
Yeah, like I getting on the phone and talking to people is just how I've always done business. So I agree. You need that. You need the be able to do that. I mean, you just do.
If you have if you make a statement, say, you know, I hear that third shift supervisors are really hard to find in your industry, and that's what I'm hearing. And they say, no, it's not. And they say, okay, then what is then? Because that's what I'm hearing. Why are you able to overcome that? And you start to praise them about their ability to do that. And then after you've solved that and you give them some praise, you come back and say, so what are your problems? And then if they tell you, I don't have any problems. I go, so you're fully staffed, you got everything under control. Why are you talking to me? You know, and just say, you know, because if that's the case, then so be it. But then tell me how you did it. And then go, because I want to learn. And I want to know your industry, because you're obviously one of the greatest ever that is getting paid $20,000 a year. But you know, go, but never. No, I mean, compliment.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Kelly, first of all, kudos to you for being able to keep that person on the call for 30 minutes. You obviously did something right. And so my first question is, do you record your calls?
No. But I do type in real time.
Yeah.
And so when he started, this was not a good time to record a call. Because if he had heard that, you can just tell. So I typed in real time and typed in all his pain. His pain was basically like, you know, I've used a recruiter before, and my experience was they worked on the candidate's behalf to jack up the compensation so that I'd have to pay them more. Now, of course, whether that really happened or whether that was just his perception, I don't know. But, you know, at the end of the call, he was like, okay.
Good. So you gave him a chance to vent, which is good. But the reason I'm suggesting about recording the call is I had a business coach for 4 years. She was a 75-year-old grandmother, and I was afraid of her. She drove a convertible 370Z, and she was good. And but I recorded all of our conversations. I met with her for 2 hours a week for 4 years. And when I started to go back and listen to the conversations, I would realize, man, Huff, you're not a very good listener. You think you are, but you're not. And so, you know, but the point is, when you listen to yourself and calls, and I'm going to encourage that you do that. You don't have to use a recording device that they know about. And yeah, you want to be careful about a one-party or two-party state, that sort of thing. I'm not really concerned about that personally, but it's really, you know, if you're misusing it, that's one thing. But if you're trying to use it, and here's how you would use it, is to go back and I think you clearly could, you know, say, you know, ask questions about your performance or about what worked or didn't work, or what kinds of emotions were involved, or what were the objections, or how can I improve, or what's the personality profile of this individual based on the verbiage they're using, because there are certain words that go with certain styles. And so not only from a personal improvement standpoint, or at least diagnosing, what did you do that was right? Because I think you obviously did something, and maybe it was the empathy. Who knows? The other thing I would say about this is, you know, just like we got 4 generations in the workplace. We've got boomers to zoomers, right? And everything in between. And boomers and zoomers, 2 totally different value sets, systems, and the way they operate. That's one dynamic, but it's a multi-dimensional matrix here, because the other thing has to do with not only the generational a difference, but also the personality difference. So if you take someone like Tom, right? Tom is a, GTF kind of guy, right? And so he sees the world in the view that where he believes like that. Not everybody's going to be like him. Some people don't want to get to the point, don't want to feel the pressure, right? They want to be able to talk it. Some people, like a lot of engineers that some of you guys work with, you can't close them on the spot. Those type of people don't get closed that way. The way they get closed is you give them credible information. They want data. They'd like some more data. You give them time, and they'll make their own decision. The more you push, they won't. So there's just multiple things there. So whatever you did relative to this individual and some, other things that were probably going on was good. It worked.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I listened. And then when he asked, why would I hire you, which he did,
That's a buying question. That's a buying question.
I was able to tell him. So there you go, Tim.
Yeah. Going on with the, recording. Oh my gosh. I've recorded a couple and it's just been so helpful. Scary as all hell when you're listening to yourself and you hear all these ums and ahs and and I'm like, why did I say 39 ums during this conversation or ahs? It goes back to Toastmasters counting the filler words, and just like I just said, that's a filler word. See, I catch myself when I'm talking about it, but recording when you leave a voicemail, there's sometimes options where you can listen to that voicemail. I'd encourage somebody to listen to their voicemails they're leaving too as well. And all you have to do is hit option like the star or the pound, and it'll say, do you want to listen to your voicemail or do you want to record? Sometimes it gives you that option. But listen to how you recorded that voicemail, a live one, right? And if you don't like it, record it. I've done it 3 or 4 times sometimes. I'm like, what the heck's going on? It's just, I don't know if I got too much caffeine going, but listen to your recordings is all I'm saying, and then re-record it if you need to. And really, go ahead.
Gave me a call, and he was like, "Your voice sounds terrible." He left me a message, and he said, "You got to change your voice message. It sounds awful."
What was wrong with your voice message? Did he say what was wrong with it?
No, and I didn't ask because I don't care. But
that's awesome.
I was just thinking of a line that you could tell your person, if you just shut up and listen to me.
Kelly, that statement, what you just said.
Pete never shuts up.
I never shut up.
Kelly, the way you said that is I didn't care. You know how psychologically healthy that is right now? I mean, just want to say that.
Thank you, Tim.
Actually, though, it's a good thing. You shouldn't care, right? You got to have a thick skin. So, yes, you want your client to care, but if someone's a dick, don't. Who cares?
Everybody's different. I mean, Huff could call me, and he might think it's fine.
Exactly.
So you have to go with in anything in recruiting in your job. You have to go with what represents you the best. And if you feel like you can do a better job on something, you go and do it. But it has to represent you and what your values are and how you think that will represent you best. Sorry to
if you my thing is too is that if I'm talking to you and I make a statement and you laugh, then we can start. But if you don't laugh, then I say, oh shit, I'm in trouble. And then I have to kind of adjust myself to figure out I'm really talking to a jerk here. So I got to be quick or decide, you know what? I don't want to talk to this sucker. I don't want to work with somebody like that. And just say, okay, cool. I'll talk to you later, man. Bye. And just hang up and go to your next call. But the other thing I was going to mention too is just we talk about making calls, emails, and all this stuff. I just started saying, screw it. I'm tired of all this emailing and texting and everything else. So I'm just going to call people. And I've started just dedicating a couple of weeks to I'm going to call 20 people a day, 30 people a day, and just call. And I'm not necessarily going to put them in a list of this is my biz dev and this is my client. I'm just going to call people. And I'm going to call old people, young people, new people, people I knew, whatever. I'm just calling them. And I found you get a wealth of information. you know, and you start talking to people, and they'll ask, hey, if they know you, they'll say, hey, what's happening now? What's going on? And then you can just start the conversation. But I always would recommend go back to calling and just do it, and just get rid of your own self-doubt with calling.
Do you guys?
Stop it. I don't want to hear that anymore. You guys are giving away the secrets.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Say, Huff.
I was saying, do you guys check references on your candidates?
No,
Used
unless you're getting
to
paid.
all the time, but not anymore unless the client asks.
Yeah. So it's actually a good opportunity there. So if you're talking with someone and you're checking a reference, it's good odds you're going to be talking to a hiring manager.
Mhm.
And you're not calling them about, hey, yo, do you need to hire someone? You're calling to get the reference. And even though your client doesn't ask for the reference, it's a great way to establish a relationship. And, hey, thank them for that. Now you have a reason to call them back. And you're the person that actually checked a reference. You asked good questions, and they wanted to talk about the person because obviously nobody gives references. So always ask for references from your candidates and try to say, no, I need someone that was a VP level, or I need someone that was a CEO. Could that CEO be a reference for you? And so I'm looking for that because that's built in instant relationship. And I've always operated out of mode where I'm developing relationships. I don't do cold calling. Rare to do that.
I don't want to talk to your mother.
Yeah.
Hey, I got my first retainer on a referral. On a reference check. My very first reference check was with Fred Steele, the president of Valley Joist in Fort Payne, Alabama, and I wrote a retainer for a engineering manager for their Fernley location, and ended up filling probably another dozen positions with them over the next 2 years on a reference call.
And as you're talking about doing that, it's important to have that right intro to say, hey, I'm Ernie Moreno. I'm calling you for a reference, but let me tell you what I do first. And then you say, I'm a recruiter. I specialize in the food industry.
Actually, I don't do that. I'm anti-sales. All I'm trying to do, step one, is establish a relationship, and
But after you do that, you could say, but let me tell you really why I'm calling you.
No, you're not really. You're really calling them for a reference check. You don't want to. You don't want to. In my opinion, Ernie, I don't want to act. That would be very
bait and switch. Bait and switch.
Bait and switch. Yeah.
It's all right.
That's the one thing I can't stand is bait and switch. That I'm an asshole to a lot of people, but bait and switch to me is one that really drives me insane. Get to the fucking point. I think he said it right. If you want to sell them, sell them. Don't check the reference.
But you don't want to tell them. You just want to tell them. Let me tell you why I'm doing it and why I'm calling.
Yeah, you can say, hey, my name's Tom Lashley. I'm a headhunter. Huff Lowe gave me your name as a reference. We're about to give him an offer for a bottle washer, and I want to check his reference.
And that's what I'm talking about. But
here's the question I ask, Ernie. Here's the question I ask. So I'm going to get down to business. I'm going to check the reference. I have, some good questions they're going to, talk about. It gives me a chance to let them do the talking, let me get a feel for them. And then at that point, I'm going to find something. I always will say, wow, it looks like you're from Minnesota. Are you originally from there? Oh yeah, I'm originally from there. No, I'm from such and such town. Right. That all of a sudden I'm shifting, and now I'm asking a few questions. Personally, I'm developing that relationship. Okay. And that's all I'm doing. He knows what I do. She knows what I do.
Yeah. They know who you are.
And you know what she's thinking? You know what she or he's thinking? They're looking at me going, I might want to keep this person on my list in case I'm looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They're not thinking about the other thing. But then what am I going to do after that is I'm going to call them back up at another time with say, hey, I'd love to catch up with you. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, or, meet up with you, whatever.
And
that's the problem. You're a long haul guy, and I need to do that more.
Just as a quick point that's off the turf, is like when someone said something about being a graduate of Harvard. There's a high school named Harvard High School at Harvard, the city of Harvard in Illinois. And if you went to the high school, you could say, I am a graduate of Harvard.
Harvard, does Harvard still exist?
Harvard,
they still have a school up there?
No, but Harvard High School does.
Harvard Westlake in LA.
If it wasn't such a problem, I graduated from Liberty High School, so I could say I graduated from Liberty, but I don't want that moniker.
I'm just surprised that you graduated, Tom. That's
high school only. Thank you, Alan.
To Huff's point, one of the things that I've also done when I'm checking references is, hey, you know, you obviously have a lot of respect for Huff, and we're going to hire him. Would there be a problem? Would you have a problem if I sent you a LinkedIn invitation? I mean, and called you every now and then? I mean, maybe you have another candidate that maybe we can help somebody out if you get you know, can I use you as a source of candidates? Kind of. I'm not asking you to use my services, but you know, it's another way to gently.
What's the highest form of flattery, guys?
Imitation?
Yeah.
Compliment.
Compliment.
Wow. Thank you so much for this information. You obviously are a great leader, or, you know, he or she said wonderful things about you. That's amazing. Where are you from originally? Boom. I'm right in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who was I talking to this about the other day? Is that if there's anything, it was the animal. When you're on the phone,
there goes your credibility.
Huff gave a good example. Anything you can connect with them on a personal level takes you to a different stage of the relationship, right? I don't care if you're recruiting a candidate, you're doing an interview, you're doing a reference check, or whatever it is. If you can grab something that shows you are like-minded, you both like to fish off the coast of Costa Rica, or you're a dive, or your diving partner, anything that breaks away from you're just another sales guy. Like that works so well for me. So well for me. I use it.
So here's an action item for everybody between now and next Friday. Okay. Check some references of some senior executives and see if you can build a new relationship out of that.
How do you, okay, so here's my problem with that is, like, how do I check a reference without permission from the candidate?
Start asking your candidates, and the way that goes is, hey, Tom, you know, excited about working with you. Listen, we want to go ahead and check the references and get them, and you know, it helps me sell you a little bit better too. So rather than me Huff Logan, the recruiter, saying you're great, I can say, let me tell you what his ex-boss said about him or her. Right?
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And who that's half decent is going to give you a bad reference?
I say that again, Alan.
Who over the years?
Yeah. Oh no, they don't give bad references.
One of the references.
Oh Jesus Christ! I've gotten some bad references. People I never thought would give them. I hate that.
We all have, but it's pretty rare these days, and so that's a good. Tuff's right. It's a great way to start.
But think about this too. Yes, it creates extra time, but if you use that as a business development model, and then think about the other huge benefit, the real surface level benefit or the stated value is now I can pick up the phone and call Ernie and say, Ernie, let me tell you about Tom and what his boss said. He said he was the only guy that was able to get collaboration in our team when everybody was swimming in different directions.
That's a good point. That's a really good point, Huff. And I will tell you, management recruiters, when you get trained by them, you have to plan out 50 business development calls, which are MPC calls in the morning or in the afternoon, it doesn't matter. And then 50 recruit calls in the morning or afternoon, doesn't matter. And 5 reference check calls. That is part of their business development plan.
Where do you get all the time to make all those damn calls?
Okay.
Right, that was part of their business development plan. Like it was very regimented.
But what if you didn't hit them?
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It didn't matter. You had to plan out 50-55, right?
Daily?
Stuff. So at 4 o'clock, you were done. Your manager would come over. He'd look at how your day went. He'd see how many presentations you made on recruiting candidates, how many presentations you made on MPC calls, how many reference checks you did, how everything went. And then he would tell you, okay, plan for tomorrow. And then you would just take all those calls you missed and move them to the next plan, right? And then add more.
But you only call the people you want a business development relationship with. You don't have to call 5 of their references.
No. He wanted you to call 5 references that could
I know.
Development one.
I'm just saying in terms of Ernie saying who has time for that.
Yeah.
Right. Right. If they give me,
I wouldn't call all 5 references of Huff's. It would only be if Huff had a VP, I'm calling Huff. If Sabrina had a director of manufacturing, I'm calling that person. Like that's how you do that, right? It's they use it as a template for business development that's beyond, and that's probably something we should talk about, right? Because it is brings up a very good point. It's a quasi warm call because you're talking about someone else, getting information about that person, and you're in a position now to leverage that conversation in a bait and switch like Ernie, right? Or a relationship down the road like Huff or me, who just said to Fred Steele, by the way, Fred, Thank you for this reference. Do you have an opening you're trying to fill right now? That is the question I asked the guy. When I got done taking the reference check, and I can't remember the guy's name, was Lucas, I think it was his name. When I got done, I thanked him and I said, by the way, do you have any positions that you're struggling with filling right now? And he said, yes, we're looking for an engineering manager at our plant in Fernley, Nevada. That's how that conversation went. It was strictly a full reference check. Once I was done the reference check, because we had a sheet we had to follow, that last question you asked, and I followed that. I'm talking like my early years, like the second or third month of 1998, right? Where I made like 1 or 2 placements. I asked that question and got that. So,
and guess what phone number the reference is going to give you?
The direct.
Cell
the
phone.
direct line.
They're going to give you their cell phone.
Yeah.
You're going to ask for their cell phone.
Yeah, back then nobody had cell phones. So go ahead, Alan, you had a question or a comment.
No, what's their fax number?
When I started, I was at EDP Microtemps, and to your point, they had 40 calls, this and that, but they didn't train well on it, and I think it's something that is valuable to maybe speak about here or on another day, because I was so frustrated that my boss wasn't a good trainer, that when the execs came out from Boston, and it was Huff and Tommy, and they're like, so how you doing? I'm just like, I want to learn how to do this with the reference checks. I don't know what I'm doing. And Tommy was just, come here, let's talk about this.
So Huff made a great point. You know what? I think that's a great idea. Right now, and I'll send it out on another post or whatever. And between now and next Friday, find one reference check, all of us, one person's to reference check that is a hiring manager, and then tell us how it went next Friday. And next Friday's topic's going to be Recruiter Roundtable Season 31, business development from reference checks. And we'll discuss that. Like that, I think, is something that we've discussed it a little bit. I think it's the second time Huff and I have talked about this. Like, I think that's a great alternative, right, to some of the other stuff, because as Huff said, you're getting an introduction from your candidate with their cell phone number, and the guy has to talk to you, right? The guy you're calling, I'm doing a reference check on Huff Loeb. He feels like he has to talk to you because Huff needs a reference check. It's not
By the way, I always tell the references to let them know that I'm calling, give them my name, send them my LinkedIn profile, etc. So when I call the phone, they've already seen who I am.
Yeah, that's again a great idea. Look, I'm not telling you have to do this, but I think it's a great test to try something that we can all discuss next Friday. Everybody who's on here and anybody who watches this later, and I'll put it in the thing, is we all do one. Just do one, right? Do one reference check to a hiring manager in your industry, in your niche, and end it with, by the way, I'm successful in placing bottle washers all over Chicagoland. Do you have an opening one that we can help? We have something we can help you with. You have something you're struggling with. Go ahead, Ernie.
Yeah, just one quick question. I had to go off, and I may have missed it or not. But when you say you have a presentation call that you made, or a presentation, they counted the MRI stuff when they counted.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Is a presentation actually talking to a person, or is a presentation leaving a voicemail and saying, hey, this is what I got?
Presentation is, hi, Ernie, this is Tom Alacio. You've never spoken before. I'm a headhunter. I've recently interviewed a candidate who's got 7.5 years experience designing structural buildings, and he is currently looking to Arizona. I wanted to see if you'd be available to talk to him tomorrow at 4 or Wednesday at 5.
So given that scenario there, what happened to a person if they didn't make those presentation calls because the person didn't pick up their phone?
You got to remember, you're thinking in now time. Back then, everybody answered the phone. There was no caller ID. There was no cell phones, right? Everybody answered their phone. So I had no problem making 20 connects easily.
They're selling real estate now, Ernie.
What was that?
They're selling real estate now.
I had no problem making those connects, but I will tell you, the ones who had call reluctance, the ones who would not make the calls, the ones that they got fired, they quit, they left. I mean, there was a guy, Tony Zaya, And we were cleaning his desk out and he had a sheet and he had wrote a script that said, "Hey, are you looking to hire anybody? Because my boss isn't really good. And he's not telling me how to do this. So I wanted to see if you would hire any roofing people." That was his last script before he left. He left that note in the thing, right? So we had a lot of people that just couldn't do it. We had a guy and that it was extremely evangelical Christian. I don't know why he took the job with us, because all the other guys I work with are a bunch of heathens. And so he lasted about a month. We had guys who sold cars. We had guys who sold soap, door to door, and they could never make it, because a lot of times if you can't look at someone and you're used to selling by looking at someone, it's very difficult to sell on the phone. Voice inflection, people feel comfortable. They can smile and they can shake hands and, "Hey, Billy, how are you? It's nice to see you." You can't really, it's hard to do that on the phone, right?
So do you think today it's harder to make phone calls than it was back then?
I don't think it's harder to make them. I think it's harder to connect. I think you're going to have issues. And this is why I tell everyone, stop worrying about cell phones if you're on business development. Yes, candidates, you want to call on cell phones because they'll get pissed at you. But I call everybody at work, right? I call candidates at work. I call clients at work because I don't give a shit, right? And here's the thing. You can hit 0. You can have them paged, right? You can ask when they're going to be back in the office, right? You can pull my oh my God, I dropped my cell phone in the ocean this weekend and I was supposed to call Huff this morning and I can't find his number. Sally, can you give me his number? Right? There's so many ways to get a hold of these people. You just have to kind of go above and beyond. But at the end of the day, if you call him at the office, right? Even if he's working from home and they transfer you, chances are it's going to be the office number that pops up. So they're going to answer it that way. Right? So that's how I would connect today.
I saw Huff put up DGAS, and I can only guess is "don't give a shit." Did I get it right after that? Am I getting into your mind? Are we talking?
I mean, here for you that are all worried about getting hold of candidates, you can call candidates at work and you can say, "I know you're busy. I'll be brief." Hit your pitch and then go, "It doesn't sound like you can talk where you are. Why don't you give me your cell phone and I'll call you tonight if you're interested," right? A little more je ne sais quoi than that. But there's nothing wrong with calling candidates at work. There is nothing wrong with calling clients at work and pitching your services. Don't worry about cell phones. Connect, find them, get them on the phone, have them paged, ask when they're going to be back in the office. Tell them he's on the phone right now. I'll hold for a minute. Maybe he's just talking to the woman he's having an affair with, and he's got to get off the phone really quick. So when he hangs up and he gets to you, he's happy because he's dealing with that bullshit, right? Whatever it is, do what you have to do to get the person on the phone, right? There's a book, I've mentioned it before, I'll Get Back to You. It's out of print. You can get it on Amazon for $4, right? There's all these different ways to get past gatekeepers, to call them before 8 a.m., before the gatekeeper gets there. The gatekeeper has to eat. They go to lunch at noon. Call them then. After 5 p.m., the gatekeeper's gone. Have 3 of your buddies call all at the same time because the gatekeeper can't answer the phone all at the same time. So if one person calls, the gatekeeper answers, another person calls, and then you call, and hopefully you'll get to somebody else that'll send you to that guy. There's lots of different ways to get around that.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question, Ernie?
No, what was the question? No.
It's how do you get people to make calls? Right? Ben Mena had put up this commission structure on LinkedIn a couple days ago, and I was kind of wild to look at because this was ridiculous. The firm he worked for, and I had put mine up, and it made me think. I did $250,000 in 1998. That was my rookie year. That's equal to $500,000 today. 250,000, right? And we all should be able to do a minimum of 250, because that was pace setter, single pace setter in 1998 with manager was $168,000, which is probably 300,000 today, right? That was minimum you had to do. You got a free trip to Hawaii for you. If you wanted it for you and your wife, it was 212,000 what I had to do. And they took us to Hawaii, all expenses paid, round trip airfare, beautiful hotel, blah, 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 like $6,000 trip or whatever in 1998, right? That 212, that's all you had to do, which is almost $500,000 today. Get out there, get on the phone. You can do 250, 300 grand. You should. These are 25,000. I did 67 placements one year. 67 placements to bill $636,000. So average fee was less than 10 grand, right? In 2001 or 2000 when I did that, right? So like 60. If I could do 67 plays a day, I'd be $1.5 million. I'm just too lazy.
The other thing I was going to just mention is if you like are worried, what do I say? And I ain't got time to read a book. Go to your AI favorite, whatever, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and just say, what should I say? How do I respond to, I don't have time to talk to you right now? And just
I dropped both of Hormozi's books into Notebook LM, and it's making a mind map for me. Plus, it's doing the I asked it for the summarize the key points of the sales process and sales script, and it's doing all that for me, right? So you can do that. You can take, and if anybody wants, I have PDFs of Hormozi's $100 million leads and the lost chapters, right? So I have the first and second book. I have the second edition of the first one, and then the lost chapters, right? And they're on PDF, so I can send them to you. Right?
Send
So here, I'll drop the PDF. Oh, no, I can't do that. Yeah, I'll if anybody wants them, send me an email, Jordan. Yes, I'll send anybody. Hold on, let me see. I think I can send you a link. Hold on. Is that not the one? Where is it? This one here.
While you're looking, do you see the prompt that I put in the chat that you should use?
no.
Yeah.
But I will.
But what would Tom do? That's all you need.
So this is the $100 million leads volume 2. This one here. And you should be able to download it from there. Just download it as a PDF, and you can drop the PDF then into Notebook LM, right? And then say create a mind map, create the key points, and then the lost chapters. I'm probably gonna have to send you that via email. So if you want the lost chapter, here's my email. Oops. There's my email, and I'll email you the lost chapters, which is the other, I guess, the second part of his book or something. Let's see.
It's the lost. This one's volume 2. Is the lost chapters from volume 1?
No, the lost chapters is where is it? It says it's $100 million offers of lost chapters. I guess it was added to the book. It's only like 6 pages, right?
Oh,
so again, if you want it, shoot me an email and I'll reply with it.
that's pretty cool
for you. So and again, you could take these books and drop them into, and then you could also say take a problem matrix, right? Because I did that real quick with that nurse, right? And drop it into whatever large language model and say, hey, create a what did she call it? Create create an Alex Hormozi offer from this, right? So take your persona and your pain points, right? Drop it in and say drop in these books and say now create a Alex Hormozi offer from this, right? Now you could probably have it build a prompt for you if you have any access to like prompt builders and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's gonna, the large language model is gonna take all the information and then build you the offer stack. And I didn't even have these books when I used Claude Sonnet 4. I said, create an Alex Hormozi offer from this. Critical shortage of specialized nurses in ER, NICU, and ICU departments with positions vacant for 3 to 6 months. Patient safety risk due to derangers to nurse to patient ratios. Limited pool of candidates with certifications in CN, RNC, NIC, and CCRN. That's all I asked it. And they created that whole, offer stack, bonus 1, bonus 2, total value, investment guarantee, etc. Right. So I think something like, I love Claude. Jordan and I were talking. ChatGPT solves problems. Claude fucking writes.
I can't remember what last name was. But anyway, he plays a part in there. He comes along and he does it.
William, can you
I muted him. So I did, like I said, this is what I dropped in. And so you could drop in something, and I even spelled Hormozi wrong. And it did it. This is what I dropped into to Claude. Create an Alex Hormozi offer from this, right? And it did it. And so you could try that, take and try to find some pain points in whatever industry you're working, right? Create a ideal client persona, ICP, find the pain points, and then say, hey, now using this pain point, this what keeps them up at night, and the root cause, and create a Alex Hormozi offer. And then you got a script. I like that. Kelly, I think that's fantastic. I that was one I didn't like. I had that book. I haven't really read through it. I'm like 7 books behind.
It's like that's for maybe a 5th grader.
And I think even Jordan mentioned it to me. I just haven't. I mean, I got so many damn books. What's the other one? There's $100 million offers, and then there's another one that someone recommended, and I can't remember what it was.
Remember that guy that recruiter that kind of came and then disappeared? He had a lot of emails he sent us, a lot of books
from Australia. It was
I
built
have
as
no
an
idea where the
ATS.
hell he is, but he
sent
just
me an
disappeared.
entire book thing. I still got that. I still have
I
it.
did too.
Yeah.
Like 300
And
books.
then
Or
out of the
whatever.
blue, he was gone. And then like 8 months later, he sent me a message on Facebook. I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? And never heard from him again after that.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember him in the beginning? The Australian guy building the ATS who worked car dealers, right? Automobile dealers, I think is what he worked.
And we just used to keep saying, who is this guy? He's weird. And
He was building his own ATS that had a business development module and everything. That dude was all over the place. I also think he was getting divorced. That could have been the issue. Okay, so any questions for the live audience before we go to double secret probation?
I gotta go. See you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Double secret
Have fun.
probation.
Take care of.
Oh, that's it for today's Recruiter Roundtable. As always, we appreciate it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the Roundtable or social media or anywhere you can. Thank you for being part of the Recruiter Roundtable. We really appreciate it. You can check us out at youtube.com/the Recruiter Roundtable. Check us out at LinkedIn at the Recruiter Roundtable, www.recruiterroundtable.com. Legal services roundtable provided by the Office of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. You can email us for topic suggestions, questions, and more at the Recruiter Roundtable at Gmail. And thanks again for being part of the Recruiter Roundtable. For Ernie Moreno and Kelly Nelson, I'm Tom Alascio. We'll see you next week on the Recruiter Roundtable. Until then, don't forget to smile and dial, and don't forget to do a reference check with a hiring manager or someone so we can discuss it next week, because next week's going to be on business development and reference checks. See y'all later. We're out.
Good.
Yeah, so Ernie, I can't remember if you were on or not, or